folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscape of Scotland. And today I've come to this incredible piece of land between Ferryden and Montrose, and today I'm hopefully about to go and document some cool old World War II gun positions which used to defend basically the gate into the harbour here at the Montrose Harbour. And this is the entrance into the Montrose Basin, and it's a popular shipping area, as you can see for these big ships harboured in the distance there. And I can actually see there's a big ship literally just gone out into the sea this past couple of minutes. We've just missed it basically. But yeah, it's extremely windy, so I'm just going to take my opportunities when we get out of the wind a little bit just to record some cool stuff. And then I'm dying to see the condition of these old coastal bunkers, because it's the sort of thing, every year they deteriorate more and more, and the history's almost gone forgotten. This is obviously like a tidal estuary here leading on out to the wild North Sea, and that's kind of the industrial area of Montrose at this far side. I'm thinking when the tide's this far in, I might not actually get along the side of the water. I might have to go up to the track at the top, but we'll just see what happens, folks. It's a bit of a spontaneous adventure as far as the route that I'm going to go today. This is insane here, folks. I've only got a little strip of land here between the sea and the land itself, and I'm literally just dodging these waves. One of them did actually splash my foot there a minute ago, but I'm just hoping I can push far enough along this coastal area to get to these bunkers under the road at the top here. There's massive like anti-ship bunkers, but also they were just guarding in general the entrance to the harbour here. And these interesting massive gun positions were actually constructed from the Polish army in World War II, but they never were actually completed. But the structures themselves are completely there, but there never actually was guns fitted to them at the end of the war, or because the war ended before they were actually fully constructed. Look at this, folks. We've got some tatties getting harvested on this field to the right hand side. You can see they're actually harvesting some tatties out here today. It's like prime tatty harvesting season here in Scotland. There's so much of that going on. And then here's a cool thing, look, there's a boat way to come right in past here. Check it out, folks, there's the pilot boat going away back into the harbour. It must have been, they basically guide the big ships out and in the entrance to the harbour. It's the Montrose Port Authority. And that vessel fairly nips on, I would say. I'm basically heading through this rough wilderness here, and I can see the first abandoned gun position here, and it's just incredible the size and the scale of these gun positions compared to some of the places that I explore on the videos. These are no just little coastal pillboxes, these are massive gun positions, and it's insane to see the work which was done back in World War II for the defence of the country. Every inch of land from coast to glen was defended in some way or another, and it's incredible to see nowadays what's left from that ancient time and remember the history and all the work that was done. So special to see. And look at it here, folks, the grand gun position. This is the first one. There's actually a couple of these. Wow, it's almost eerie seeing into the darkness of the gun emplacement, and you can see how it's been looking out over this incredible seascape. Obviously if there had been any U-boats or German boats kicking about, places like this would have been on high alert to open fire, but also defensive bunkers like this were probably keeping one eye to the sky, and they would be able to open fire on aircraft as well if they were making their way in to the airspace here. Whoa, I'm just going to battle through. These are actual proper deep wades down here. This is insane. That's like 2 foot deep in front of me, folks. Whoa, look at that spider. So it's just so overgrown there, folks. It's literally like my head height of just bushes, and I didn't even think it would still be so incredibly overgrown here. I can't even believe the size of that spider that was just on me there. It was absolutely so scary. again, I don't actually mind spiders most of the time, but see when you don't realise they're on you and then you just see it like moving around. Those ones are absolutely massive as well. I'm going to see if I can actually get round this side of the bunker entrance here. It's this, the way these weeds and stuff are overgrown, just check it out. This is some proper mad, still like the tail end of summer, these conditions, and you can kind of see it, the way everything's so overgrown. It's almost impossible to explore. And obviously I'm just kind of pushing through these weeds. There's not even a path here or anything. Sometimes at the coast as well, it's a little bit better. There's less ticks that appear to be within the wild terrain. Yeah, look at it, it's just so hard to get to. I'm going to actually push along the coast a bit further to this next gun position, folks, because it's just so overgrown out here. I can't even exaggerate to you. The conditions are just mad. So unfortunately, because of these conditions, folks, this is as close as we can literally get here today, because this is like a 3-foot deep area here in front of me, and that's where I was almost jumping down into before I realised, because this whole area in front of me here was actually dug out, and that's obviously where the gun would have been. And then back under the hill there's like a small bunker chamber area, and that's where they would have had a lot of the ammo and stuff like that, and even the soldiers stationed in there. It's absolutely insane to see how overgrown it is at this time of year though, it's just crazy. Wow, I'm going to push on back up this kind of path and try and get back up to the main road, and I'll go along to the next gun position. So cool to see the way they poured the cement against what must have been like tin corrugated iron, and then once they had constructed it and the cement dried, they would have taken away the corrugated iron, leaving that incredible finish. And the reason I wanted to get actually closer to it, there's some Polish writing on what must have been like an inlay plate when they poured the cast. Anyway, there's hardly even a visible path right here, folks. I'm just way to push on straight up the hill. Check this out, folks, there's a massive ship coming in right here. This is so cool. Look at this here, folks, what even is this? This is something here at the side of the path which I had never noticed. Look, there's remains of another little gun position here at the top of the hill. Wow, I have never documented this piece of history here. I've seen a lot of the other gun bunkers at previous times, but it just shows there's been a little one here. Probably, maybe even spotting and target finding for the bigger guns below the hill. Check it out, folks, what a scene on today's video right here. The Nord Viking. The Nord Viking's the name of the vessel there, folks. Shout out if you're on that vessel. Whoa, there's another one of these massive like spider webs there. I'm hating the massive spider webs. Some of them are just crazy proportions. Wow, just look at that. It's a special scene out here today, folks, on the video. We're getting a real essence of what the Montrose Harbour's all about out here. Just check it out, the size of those exhausts on the top of there. Whoa, I'm sure that's like radioactive symbols on the back of that boat there. It's fairly shifting. So in Montrose here, whenever the tide's fully in like this is when you get all the boats coming out and in. And then when the tide's right out, you really, I think they struggle to have enough clearance here because it's quite shallow in general. It's amazing that it's deep enough away in there for these boats to come, really, when you consider. Wow, that's been so cool to see that. The Nord Viking there, entering port. The boys on board are probably glad to get on land, maybe for the weekend or whatever. And just check this out, we've made it to the second gun position right here, folks. And once again, look how this gun position looks out over the sea. Imagine that had been an enemy vessel approaching in the war. These positions would have opened fire. And you can imagine not only were the giant guns down here, with all those little cement machine gun nests at the top of the hill. I think a little bit closer to Montrose or Ferryden along there, there's two other little machine gun nests, but I didn't actually stop at them on the way along because it's so windy at that end of the beach. Wow, there's just so many of these massive spiders. It's blowing around. I won't be able to get a close zoom in on it, but I've just been trying to avoid that on this adventure. The size of these beasts, like, it's just crazy. I'm going to try and hold the blade of grass so I can record the spider. Look at it there. That's what we're dealing with on this adventure, folks. Those spiders are just throughout the whole area here. Massive big beasts, like, for sure. I'm going to try and push on around, and I want to record this piece of history for sure. Yes, look, every one of these bushes, there's just spiders draped between it. And that's what I say about Scotland being so overgrown in the summer. Even though I say it's like exploring season now, it's still not easy. But we've made it to an incredible piece of history, abandoned, buried and hidden under the land here. Lost to nature and time. And I can see there's metal hooks there halfway up the face, and I believe they were for some sort of camo netting. You have to imagine originally when they first built it, a lot of the grass and stuff around it probably didn't grow that quick. There would have been a good 6 months to a year where it was probably looking pretty obvious what they had been doing. But apparently, because they were never issued with proper coastal guns at this point, they actually had fake, like, electrical poles put in here. So from above, when the Germans flew over, it looked like we had massive coastal guns here, whereas it was actually just big wooden posts. But if the war had continued in the fashion it was going, guns would have been put into this area pretty soon. But we were just obviously lucky. The world was lucky that the war ended when it did. And places like this were no longer needed. It's just so overgrown right here. This is the area here which was originally, like, dug out in the war. Wow, it's just insane, folks. I'm literally, like, flattening down the bushes here with my foot. And we've just about made it in. Absolutely crazy abandoned scenes right here, folks. Just basically banging my feet to get all the beasties off, folks. That's what it's all about on these adventures. Even though I'm scared of all the wee bugs and beasties, I still go full send into these crazy landscapes. Look at this, how the cement's been poured around the wood, but look, the wood's rotted away mostly. There's just a few last remains of these massive lintels, which at one time must have been a strong kind of entrance door. There is, like, cement lintels here. It's so cool because I can see inside people's actually been, like, writing their names up on the beams, and you just have to imagine how cool it would have been to explore a place like this when it was in use, or just after the war. It must have been so cool to come at places like this to even hang out and chill out. You could have had a chair set up in there, and imagine just looking out over this view. All weathers, you would have had a cool little bit to shelter in. But yeah, it's proper, unfortunately, covered with these bars nowadays. Wow, there's little rooms through the back, and I would just absolutely love to see what was through there. You can just imagine, it's just crazy wartime history, and I imagine the soldiers that were maybe stationed through there, if you had come along here when it was in use, you would have heard the voices and the banter coming out of there. And then all it would take is maybe a radio message or somebody in the top bunker to get in contact saying they had spotted an enemy on the horizon, and then places like this, they would have jumped into action. I can see within the cement there's really thick rebar. Wow. This is one of my favourite, like, abandoned little World War II locations here on the east coast, because it's so big, and for the defence of Montrose Harbour like that, it was a crucial key kind of hub here on the east coast. And I just love to see what was done with stuff like this. You can still see the old whitewash paint on there. But yeah, this time of year, it's just a crazy haven for all these spiders and insects. which seem to be like just all over this place, all through the grass on the way in. It's almost like this area here has originally been poured onto like a bag of sand, maybe sitting on top of a wooden frame. And then all these other walls have actually been faced after their first pour. You can see how the marks there of them kind of getting that render of the cement smeared on top. And I can just see this crazy spider webs just connected to me right now from the roof. It's like they've had this properly sealed up at a certain time there. So interesting, folks. I love just to see the history and what's left and document it for the world to see. You can see what Scotland did to try and protect itself in the war. Shout out to all the Polish viewers for a place like this. Like literally there's a Polish inscription up there from the people who constructed these gun positions. There's just nothing but spider webs. I don't know if they even come out on the camera right there. And look at this circle of stone here. Maybe this is where the gun would have mounted onto here, and you can imagine the barrel facing out. This area has all been dug or blasted down into the rock slightly to give them that clearance in front of the bunker. And I would just absolutely love to try and get through here or like climb underneath. So the structure still looks pretty sound there, folks, because it's literally bedrock above there. And it's such a shame that it has been kind of blocked up the way it has. I'm so curious to see what's through, like in that back room there. Just imagine the history, or like, imagine what little nuggets may be in there, even markings where maybe electric boxes or radio equipment had been mounted on the wall. Other little things that tell a detail or a story of the history that's forgotten. It's cool to often like revive that history and keep it alive on the video for a future generation so that the stuff's not forgotten. And you can see up there how only half that beam at the top's actually whitewashed with the paint. So that makes me think there was maybe another wall there, maybe like a little side office or whatever at that bit, or some kind of, I don't think they would have had an office that close to the gun, but you can imagine it was maybe even where they had ammo storage. And then also the bunker goes away down that way as well, around behind that corner. It's just so intriguing to imagine what's around there. Yeah, I can see all different dates and years up there. 98's the most new one that I can see. 94, 93. There's even one there, 89, and you can just imagine coming back like to these places back in 1989. They probably weren't near as run down and as abandoned as they are now. And then that just makes you think, where will those places be in like another 30 or 40 years? How will they look? Maybe even this front bit won't be accessible or visible. And that's another reason it's cool just to have these videos and show it as it is. Wow, those big metal hooks, you can see them there sticking out of the wall. And then look at this detail here, folks. There's actually a pipe there, which is either some sort of drain, or who would even know what that pipe is. I don't think they would have used a tubular rebar like in there, but who would even know? There's just thousands of these little snails all over here as well. Anyway, I'm heading on out of this crazy jungle, folks. Let's keep this adventure flowing. We've been so lucky to see all the cool stuff we've seen, not only with these bunkers, but to see that ship coming out of the harbour as well. Or going into the harbour, I should say. Wow. Mad jungle adventures, folks. There's an interesting little thing up on the hill here. There's a white pillar, and that's actually before the days of the massive Stevenson lighthouse here. Scurdiness Lighthouse it's called. Before the days of that, they used to have to line their boats up with the two big white pillars, and then they knew if they came in on the line of those pillars that they were obviously in a safe area of sea. And then later on, as time's passed and technology moved on, they actually put a proper lighthouse in with a lit light on the top of it. So it's cool as well to see stuff like that. remember the history with stuff like that. And I can see that spider's already started making its web. So I'm going to try and go around the edge of it once again so I can avoid it. Wow, this is just intense. I hate those big massive spiders like that. Whoa, there's just so many. There's another one hanging there on its web. And I must have come in down this way. It's just intense trying to battle through it. I just try and flatten it normally with like my feet. But right now I'm way ahead back up to the road here. What a crazy scene here with this gun bunker, folks. I just love it. Check this out, folks. Just when I was thinking I was not going to walk down this massively steep hill again, then I've just noticed another piece of World War II history down on the edge of this. I'm right on the edge of this incredibly steep slope, and I've kind of just come round the corner from where we saw the bunker 2 seconds ago, and I noticed there's a cement outcrop down here, and it almost looks like it could be the old emergency escape for that gun position. In little areas like this, it's just mad to think they probably would have had an emergency escape, like carved through the stonework. Wow, what do we have here, folks? There's a proper drop down here, and I think I might need to go down there. Yeah, this is where I was seeing the cement. It's right here, folks. I need to try and get down through these bushes. There's just so many of these spiders here, folks. Check them out, hanging on that. Look at that. There's just millions of them here, and they're huge, big beasts, spiders like. And I'm just trying not to actually walk through any of their bloody webs. And it's just horrible, because when there's that many, you can hardly avoid it. And when the light's not actually hitting the web, you can't see where it is. Look at this. We've found the history though, folks. This is definitely part of the bunker, right? And this is a piece of history that I've never documented before on the channel, which is so cool. I love seeing new history that I've never seen, going to places that I've never been, even if I do have to battle through this spider infested miserable landscape. Wow, look at it. This is the entrance right here, folks. Check it out. Wow, there's another one of these massive spiders hanging there. Look at it though. There's the square opening right there. Crazy history right here, folks. So that must have been like backfilled at the end of the war. When I saw that, I just had to come down and investigate it and record whatever I could record. Wow, there's just tons of cobwebs all over me. It's kind of creeping me out a little bit, the quantity of these spiders and the size of them. But it's crazy the places I go just to document the coolest things like this here. It's a little bit of history which almost goes unnoticed and unseen, but it must literally lead all the way to that area that we just explored where the gun position is. I was hoping when I came down that there may actually be an entrance or a way of getting in there, but unfortunately it looks like we're not in luck, folks. So this whole walk down here, it was worth it for seeing it there and documenting it, but we weren't actually able to get in, so it's not as cool as it could have been. I can see the way it's been poured against the corrugated iron, which matches what we saw around the corner there. Wow, folks, here we go. I'm just battling through here, trying to avoid these massive spiders, and it's creeping me out. I've said it about a million times on this video, but it is true. It's just crazy scenes. When I stand over here, I can literally see the web moving over here. There's so many of these spiders within this land. I'm just going for it now. Here we go. I'm pushing up the hill. These adventures, folks, you would not believe the places I go to document that history, and I've been up and down this hill like 3 or 4 times, but it's totally worth it when I see stuff like that. It's undocumented World War II history, and I had no idea that was even there. It shows that it must be a pretty serious like complex under there. It's not just the one little hole with a gun in front of it. It's actually properly like little tunnels and stuff and escape routes and crazy stuff like that, folks. You've seen it here first on the channel. There's almost been like something here kind of dug out of the land as well. Check this out here, folks. These are some old World War II buildings related to this site here. And I've never actually gone into these buildings before. I've always just looked from the fence side. So I thought today, why not just come in and document what's here. And look at this, they're unusual buildings. Maybe generators or something. Like, whoa, there's some strange like bee looking creature right there, folks. Wow. But yeah, these were maybe like some generator buildings or something definitely related to those gun positions. I'm so hyped that I saw that emergency escape out of that far away gun position. That's crazy because I've explored those guns before, and it just goes to show there's more history to be found often if you go back to a site. Sometimes the first time you go somewhere you actually miss so many details and interesting things. And on a windy day like today, it's cool to come inside a wee sheltered area like this just to speak to the camera and speak about what we've been witnessing here. I love seeing history like that. Like the bedrock's right up to the surface here. But check out these incredible like metal brackets. That's how it looks like something's been mounted here for sure. Maybe even radio communications equipment or generators to do with that sort of stuff. Because probably up at the top of the hill here was perfect for the radio signals and stuff. An interesting thing, you can actually see there's a big crack leading like right through this structure here. So that's another reason it's cool to come and record these buildings, document them, whatever's here at the time. Look at this, look, it's got a funny shape to it. It's not just a rectangular building, which makes it interesting. That's how I was thinking, it's not just a shed or it's not just a storage. There's definitely been something interesting going on here. And I believe the whole thing must have had a fairly healthy, thick floor at a certain time. But it's like it's been dug out or taken away, maybe with the equipment connected to it. Wow. Anyway, I'll head on to the next little building. It's so windy, as soon as I go around the edge of this corner, it's just like bang, it's strong winds. Look at this detail of the history here, folks. There's actually a big girder which has been cut off, and that would also show that it was likely to be communications. So here we are, here's another building, and it seems to be an identical building, an identical construction, but I can see the vents in this one's totally different. They've actually got smaller openings which are pretty much bricked up. Another interesting detail though, this one also features this huge metal girder through the cement, and that must come out that end, and we'll have a look to see if it's been cut off. Yeah, it's such an interesting shape. The other one had full openings. But all those bricks do look like they're of original construction for the war. It's mad because you can actually see where they poured the cement onto the top of the wooden shutter in there when they built it. And in places like that you still see the grain of the wood right there. That's why it's so interesting, folks. Look at this, it's the same shape. It's not even a square or a rectangle or anything like that. This back wall is all kind of shapes, and that was maybe like a standard construction they had for a building which was doing whatever this building was doing. But it's strange how it was fully open at the front like that. It maybe did originally have some sort of like front on it, and I think I can actually see details of that along here because there's some metal bits sticking out of the wall. Check it out, folks, is that some original front wall that's been on there? Whoa, people's been scoring their names into the stonework and the brickwork. Wonder if that's original for the war or if that's just somebody like messing about. I was just trying to get it clearly recorded there, folks, documenting the history. It's funny, it says like 1521A. It's maybe some soldier's like rank or whatever. Yeah, look, it's massive thick girders with the rebar through it. These buildings have been so strong. Credit to it, the length of time they've stood after the war, it shows how strong they were. Look, there's another detail, they've had a cutout which shows there could have been like a wooden frame or some kind of door. Another detail here, folks, look, there's a hole cut out of this side the same. So it is interesting just to see this and add it to the video of the defences here. Yeah, Yeah, and you can see how thick the roof is. Imagine with that rebar and stuff. It maybe was designed kind of defensively as well. Yeah, it's just some mad World War II scenes, folks. Look at this, here's a golf ball. Somebody's probably been playing golf here out in the field, folks. We'll lay it up on the roof. An interesting thing there, I can actually see the roof's got that thin veneer of cement on it, but it's in pretty good condition overall. We're back out into the wind here, and I do apologise for that on the video here, folks. I just love to see it, folks, the way that that red brick was used in the war. A lot of these World War II buildings that I've seen at airfields, when they've got that red bricks like this, they were often finished with like a cement render on the top. But it appears that these ones have never had that render. Not unless it has all just flaked off with the mad coastal weather. When I see these lookouts though, they weren't actually defensive positions or anything like that. This has been a completely industrial building related to those gun positions. Yeah, they would have had a crazy view. Maybe they were observing, sitting up here with the binoculars. It's just insane, folks. Anyway, I'm waiting to head back along towards the car. So after seeing that emergency escape and stuff like that on the coastal gun along there, I'm thinking probably in the heart of winter, once all this overgrowth and shrubs is away and died back, I might come back here and do like a more in-depth walkabout on the hillside, because I would love to find, like, if there is more little remains of like machine gun bunkers or bits of history that's undocumented, I would love to come back and try and get it on video. Right then, folks, that's me just about back at my car. I can actually see there's a big ship away to come out past here, out of the harbour, so I'll probably get a time lapse of that for the end of the video here. Shout out to this guy down here as well that's trimming the weeds out on the coast here. Anyway, folks, I'm ending this one here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with the next one, wherever I end up going.